Harold Greene had never been one to complain about life. At 67 years old, he considered himself blessed. A retired school principal, grandfather of four, and husband to his loving wife, Margaret, life had settled into a comfortable rhythm. But something began to shift not long after his retirement, something he hadn't expected to struggle with at this stage of life. Sleep. What once came easily now felt like a nightly battle. He'd toss and turn, eyes wide open at 2 a.m., his mind racing through everything from old baseball scores to forgotten grocery items. He'd wake up groggy, often irritable, and the fatigue clung to him like damp clothes all day long. Margaret, ever gentle, noticed the change. "You're not yourself lately, Harold," she said one morning over a cup of chamomile tea. "Maybe it's time we figured out how to help you sleep better." At first, Harold brushed it off. "It's just part of getting older," he grumbled. But Margaret wasn't having it. "Growing older doesn't mean you have to be tired all the time. Let's try something new." Harold wasn't sure what something new meant, but he trusted his wife. After 45 years of marriage, he knew better than to argue when she set her mind on helping him. The first person they spoke to was Dr. Raymond Walker, their longtime family physician. At Harold's next appointment, he brought it up gently. "I'm just not sleeping like I used to, Doc," he confessed. "I wake up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep." Dr. Walker nodded knowingly. "You're not alone, Harold. Many seniors experience changes in sleep patterns. But the good news is there are simple, natural strategies we can try." That was how Harold and Margaret began their journey into better sleep, one step at a time. The first change they made was to their evening routine. For years, Harold had watched TV right up until bedtime, his favorite late-night detective shows always playing in the background. But Dr. Walker explained that bright screens, especially with their blue light emissions, could interfere with melatonin production. So, they made a deal. No screens after 8 p.m. Instead, Harold would spend time reading by a soft amber lamp or listening to quiet instrumental music. It was tough at first. He missed those crime dramas, but within a week, he noticed that he felt sleepier earlier. The second thing they tackled was Harold's eating habits. Though he never considered himself a junk food guy, he had a habit of snacking before bed, usually salty chips or the occasional slice of cold pepperoni pizza. Margaret, after doing a bit of online research, decided to introduce sleep-promoting foods into his evening meal. Bananas, almonds, turkey, oatmeal, and a warm glass of milk replaced the late-night junk. One night, she even made him a bowl of tart cherry yogurt, claiming cherries had natural melatonin. He chuckled but ate it anyway. "Not bad," he admitted. The third change was something Harold had never considered: temperature. He always kept the bedroom warm, especially during the Ohio winters. But Margaret, inspired by an article she read in a senior wellness magazine, suggested they lower the thermostat to 65 degrees Fahrenheit at night. He scoffed at the idea. "I'll freeze." But after one night of cooler air and a cozy blanket, he was hooked. He didn't wake up sweating or tossing his covers off. In fact, he felt more relaxed than he had in months. Their fourth step came when Margaret signed them up for a gentle evening yoga class at the local community center. "It's called restorative yoga," she told him, excited. "All stretching, breathing, and relaxation. No standing on your head." Though Harold was skeptical, he went. To his surprise, it felt nice. Slow movements, deep breaths, and the quiet presence of others made him feel centered. The instructor, a kind woman named Lily, encouraged everyone to set a nightly intention. Harold's was simple: rest easy. After a few weeks, the evening stretches became part of their nightly rhythm. Harold would do a few moves even on non-class days, often right beside their bed. The fifth and most surprising change came from a conversation with their grandson, Mason. At just 21, Mason had struggled with anxiety and sleep issues during college and had found relief through something called mindfulness meditation. "You just sit still and focus on your breathing," Mason explained. "It's like pressing the reset button for your brain." Harold didn't think much of it at first, but on one restless night, he decided to try. He sat upright in bed, closed his eyes, and began to count his breaths. Inhale 1. Exhale 2. Inhale 3. Exhale 4. To his amazement, the next thing he knew, it was morning. "I think Mason's onto something," he said at breakfast the next day. Within 3 months, Harold's sleep had transformed. He no longer dreaded nighttime. Instead, he looked forward to it. The warm tea, the soft music, the gentle stretches, and the quiet moment of breathwork before drifting off. He wasn't waking up at odd hours anymore, and even if he did, he could fall back asleep with ease. Margaret noticed the difference too. "You've been smiling more," she told him one day as they walked through the park. "It's good to have you back." But Harold wasn't just sleeping better, he was living better. His energy returned, his memory felt sharper, and even his golf game improved. One Sunday afternoon, while sitting with his old buddies at the town diner, he brought it up. "Gentlemen," he began, with a mischievous grin, "I've cracked the code to sleeping like a baby." The table erupted in laughter, but they leaned in curiously. "Seriously," Harold continued, "it's not about pills or gimmicks. Just a few small changes. No screens before bed. Eat the right stuff, cool the room, stretch a little, and breathe. That's it." His friend George, a 72-year-old former firefighter, raised an eyebrow. "You mean I've been popping melatonin tablets for nothing?" "Try this for a week," Harold replied. "Then tell me how you feel." Over the next month, George called Harold twice, amazed at the difference. Soon, the other guys at the diner started changing their routines too. Some even brought their wives into the mix. Harold didn't set out to become the unofficial sleep coach for his friends, but it felt good to share something that truly worked. He even wrote a little guide for the community center's senior bulletin board titled "Sleeping Easy After 60, Harold's Hacks." One day, Margaret suggested he speak about it at the local library's Wellness Week. "You've lived it, Harold. You're not selling anything. You're just sharing your story." So he did. That evening, he stood before a room of about 30 seniors, some with notepads in hand, others just curious. He spoke from the heart about the frustrations of insomnia, the doubts, and how simple habits had brought peace back into his nights. A woman named Donna came up afterward and thanked him with tears in her eyes. "I haven't slept more than 4 hours a night since my husband passed. But tonight, I'll try your breathing trick." That moment stayed with Harold. Years passed, and he continued to sleep soundly. On his 75th birthday, surrounded by his grandchildren, he smiled with gratitude. Sleep, once a forgotten comfort, had become a nightly blessing again. And all it had taken was trust, consistency, and the courage to try something new. To anyone struggling to rest after 60, Harold Greene's message was clear: age may change the body, but it doesn't have to steal peace. With a few thoughtful steps, you can sleep,